Going into the opener?
Apprehensive. I really am. I wish we were practicing better, and some of it's because we've had some early exhibitions and charity exhibitions, and but we're just trying to get so many things solidified. And bottom line is, the youth comes out most every day. The work ethic is really good. The energy is pretty strong. The concentration and focus and adaptability not always so good, but. We're learning. I mean, and that's what it is, and it's here now. So I think that's the good sign. This will give us an opportunity to go against somebody that's well coached, very, very experienced, and they do things very well that we're not real good at yet. You know, we do not understand the concept of guarding our man really well and not overhelping off penetration. And this is a team that is a tremendous three-point shooting team. They average 9 threes a game. They get a lot of their offense from the three, and they've got good inside play. So there's just a lot of things we've got to get better at. We've got to become a more physical, aggressive team, you know, without turning it over and without fouling. And hopefully we're going to get strength in numbers, you know, as we go along, you know, with being able to play more guys and being able to put more pressure on the other team, whether it's full court defensively, whether it's with our driving game, whether it's on the backboards. But right now, those all remain to be seen. So that's where I'm at.
When did you adopt your philosophy of not giving your players a position?
This year.
Positionless basketball.
This year, it's the first time we've done it. It just makes sense. I mean, we really don't recruit with those connotations, maybe other than maybe the point guard. And really, point guards have to be able to play numerous things. So it just makes sense based on how we play, you know, and how I see the game. And really, in all honesty, the future of the game. I mean, it's already in the present in some programs in college, certainly, and in quite a few NBA teams. And you've got to have a level of versatility. And kids want to be able to play at the next level. They want to be able to play in a good way. And really, you have to be able to be a very versatile, multidimensional, two-way player that can do numerous things on offense and defense. And really, it comes down to it's as much about defense as it is about offense. You know, a basketball player, you know, should be able to pass it, catch it, shoot it, drive it, screen, make plays for one another, move without it. Well, you got to be able to do the same things on the defensive end. And that's where kids sometimes get the misnomer that, no, I don't have to do all these things. Oh, no, yes, you do, right? Yes, you do. Some of my best players guarding the post have been my guards, like Yogi Ferrell, Victor Oladipo, guys like that in the past. And so getting guys to understand you've got to be able to play the entire game in a versatile way, or all parts of the game, I should say, in a versatile way. And it just makes sense to me to call them basketball players.
Coach, it sort of feels like the Ant-Man era is beginning, but how does that?
Yeah, I just don't. I don't look at it that way. I mean, he's got to get better just like everybody else does, and he is. But he has his moments too where they're not so good, and he's got a lot to learn. He's a very young man. He's 18 since August 5th, and should be in his second week of high school or third week of high school basketball practice. You know, in a normal world, but he's here and he's getting ready to take everybody's best shot, and I think that's what he's going to have to adjust to, as is our entire team. And the bottom line is building his versatility, being able to do more without the ball, being able to do even he can be a tremendous defensive player. And my hope is that at some point in time this year you see that, right? But right now he's got to learn to put more and more effort into it after that first or second effort, because he'll go after it. But then it's he's no different than any other high school kid. The possession keeps going and going and going, right? And you've got to, whether it's 30-second clock, you know, whatever it is, you've got to be able to cover a lot of ground defensively, do a lot of different things, because there's a lot of movement in offenses these days, a lot of movement. You know, we want to have it too. So that's the stuff that I'm most focused on, certainly on what he can do, but mostly what he's got to get better at. And that's kind of how we go into each practice, go into each film session, go into each day.
What do you see as far as how the team responds to Anthony, though? I mean, when you've got one guy that's a projected number one and there's a team around him, as far as the chemistry and how the players treat him and how
I think he's been really good with that. He can really pass the ball, and he moves the ball. And there's times he overpasses in practice. But there's also times he'll settle, you know, so we got to find that happy medium, right, on getting really good shots and being ready to shoot it. But he's got an infectious energy, and that's why we got to get more of it longer. And again, he's no different than any other freshman. They don't understand how hard they have to play for how long they have to play and how many possessions in a row they have to do it in. And so that's what takes time. They all go through a period of adjustment, some longer than others, where they're looking for that coast. all right, where they're looking for that rest, where they're looking for that settle of the shot, where it gets hard. They don't want to go to the glass or they don't want to get back. Those are the things that get you beat. Those are the things that make me apprehensive. We're very, very young. 7 freshmen on scholarship, 2 walk-ons. I mean, we're very, very young to understanding how hard you have to play for how long you have to play. But in answer to your question, when he's rolling, he brings a lot of energy and he brings confidence to everybody else. And that's ultimately what you want. And ultimately, he needs the same thing. Guys knocking down shots, rolling on the drives and the pick and rolls, those type of things, because he is a very, very good teammate. Very good.
Have you talked with Anthony about other teams possibly wanting to, for example, get in his head, try to
Sure.
frustrate him?
Absolutely.
How do you think he'll handle that?
We find moments. I don't do it as much in practice, other than situationally with double teams and going after them. But he's still trying to learn the game, right? So it doesn't matter what he's projected. He's got to get a level of confidence, right? Not a level of future, not a level of potential, not a level of he's done this in the past. A level of confidence at this level. So when you're working with confidence in somebody, and again, say, well, he should be. He's this, he's that. No, he's 18, right? He's 18, and he hasn't played a college basketball game yet. It's going to take time for him to understand how to have his bearings. But as that time goes, then we have to do more of that. But there's no question that's going to come, and we just got to be able to help him. There's no experience like actually going through it. So we can practice it, we can work on it, we can set situations up, we can set drills up for it, we can create things. But he's actually got to go through it on the court, and that's what's going to take some time.
First impression from him seems to be he is almost atypically humble for a guy who's had as much publicity and notice as he's had. Is that a correct?
Yeah,
impression?
he's got a humility about him. He really does. He wants to get better, and he knows he has to get better, and he's just got to apply it. And he's just got to continue to build his focus, build his concentration, build his wherewithal to see in the game like he's capable of, understanding what he's capable of defensively, understanding that level of, see, with a guy like that, because the way the teammates do feed off him so much, you can't have many bad possessions. You can't have many down times. When you're coming in as a high school kid, it's very, very easy to know how to get your rest spots in a game. And that's just not the case here. It's not the case for any of them, but it's certainly not the case for him, because he will be getting, every other team's best shot. And we're going to help him work through that. But that's all going to be a work in progress for him to continue to have that, when he goes through struggles and when he goes through success. But when it comes to having a level head, when it comes to being a very good person, when it comes to being a thoughtful, caring, well-raised person, considering, all the things he's been through in his background, he's pretty strong.
Tom, I know you're looking for daily improvement with this team,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just getting the season started. Whether you guys turn into a group that can make a run in March or not, what impact can having a talent like Anthony in this program, whether it's for a year or not, make for Georgia basketball?
Oh, I think it'll be good. I think it's good. I think we just kind of recruit the way that we recruit, and does it come up more? Certainly, but we haven't recruited in the sense of, oh yeah, you're going to be the next Anthony Edwards. I mean, just like I never told him he was going to be the next Dwayne Wade or Victor Oladipo. It just doesn't work that way. You take bits and pieces of those people. Maybe there's some background comparisons or things that you can show them, right? But everybody's their own person, and every recruit is a case study unto itself. And what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that we are hitting this for what we need, right? That we've got to stack recruiting classes together. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about that. All you got to do is look at football over there and see how that's working out for them, right? They just keep stacking classes together. Well, we're in the same boat, to much to the same degree. So we want to keep making sure that we're not only adding need, but we're adding talent, but we're not getting caught up in what doesn't fit, right? We got to make sure things fit. Anthony Edwards fits a lot of things. He's from Georgia. He's hungry, has a desire to get better, all those type of things. And it was a great thing for us to have somebody like that would take a chance on the program in the first year like that, with that kind of stature. But for us right now, every time we look at somebody, is do we see them fitting? Do we see them having a projection to be able to help us and having a future that can not only, that they're going to fit well, but that they're going to fit in with everybody else and make them better. So that's kind of how we look at the recruiting as we go along with it, and keep looking at what's absolutely going to matter here, because we've got to keep improving our shooting. and our recruiting. There's no question we've got to keep building on this athleticism that we did in this last class. We've got to build size, but we've got to get our shooting to a high level. If we're going to compete in this league on a yearly basis, we've got to get our shooting to where we have knockdown shooters in the program, and that's the kind of stuff we have to continue to recruit towards.
What are your challenges personally in coaching a talent like Anthony? Are you having to tell yourself, I got to back off, give him space?
It's a good question. Yeah, from time to time. Yeah, I think I learn something from every conversation I have with him. Even at that age, I learn something, and then I learn a better way to coach him. But I don't think that the last thing he needs is for me to back off for his present or for his future. But I have to make sure that I'm understanding that we're still going at a good speed for him. Right? This is not a deal where you look and say, well, we'll get to that down the road. We'll get to that in a couple of years. That's not the case. Right? And it's very hard to look at that in any case with a player in this day and age, with all the things that go on, with all the ways players change. So you're trying to intensify the situation and expedite it, but at the same time, you don't want to get too fast. Because what happens is every time you skip a step, it ends up costing you something else down the line. And that's what you got to be so careful of with a talented player, with an older player, with a new player, whatever it is. I mean, with a talent like that, you've got to make sure you're not skipping steps. Well, sometimes it's a little bit harder to figure that out. But there's many a day I'm reminded that this is a very, very young guy that came out of college a year early, or came into college a year early, and is really, really working at a really good pace. And so we just have to keep putting things in him and be patient with him when it's not there, but stay firm to help him grow to get that level of consistency that he's going to have.
You mentioned earlier about the youth coming out and practice a little bit. Is that a physical?
It comes out a lot of it.
Well, is it a physical thing about playing harder longer? Is it them?
That's more mental. It's all. There's some physical to it, but it's more mental. I mean, the concentration spans and focuses of young players, and it happens in older players. But it's very, very hard to keep that up for a period of time. But that's where mental toughness comes in. And we have to grow and develop mental toughness. It's an ongoing process. And when you're starting with a lot of young guys like we are, 10 newcomers, 9 freshmen, 7 scholarship freshmen, you're starting at a very low place. Because whatever mental toughness they had, whatever competitive value they had, whatever playing to win value they had coming up, it gets ratcheted up big time at a level like this. So you've got to be able to ratchet it up in practice and get them to try to understand what that is. Well, you can only do so much in practice. Now they have to play and they have to see. And the thing about tomorrow, we're playing a team that there's no way we're looking at them based on their record a year ago. I think they returned 6 out of their top 7 or 6 out of their top 8. I've known Mark Prosser since he was a young kid, because I knew his dad, Skip Prosser, so well. He was a friend of mine. They're getting better and better. And like I said, that three-point shooting is scary when you have a team that doesn't understand how you cannot be chasing the ball consistently. Like, we've got to keep the ball in front of us and not be overreacting to the ball, because that's where a team like this just crushes you if you give them open threes, or if we give Dotson open looks inside the post. We don't have anybody like Dotson. Even it's not about his physical height. It's about his size and quickness in the post. We don't have anybody that's like that they deal with right now. We'd have had it a year ago with Derek. We don't have that. So we've got to get used to that. So there's going to be a lot of things to get used to inside of the games that we've got to learn about. But how long we have to compete and how hard we have to compete. And I'm not just putting it on the freshmen. We've got some upperclassmen that've got to pick it up competitively. I mean, there's no doubt about that. They got to pick it up on a daily basis for how competitive they have to be. Because that sometimes can be their best form of leadership, right? It's not about all the time. Like Tyree Krupp is a great example of a guy. Donnell Gresham's growing into this. But those guys are really good examples of bringing a competitive value every day, trying to lead. Donnell's getting more comfortable. Tyree tries to lead every day. Well, his competitiveness comes out. We need more of that from others. I mean, big time. That's where losing those seniors a year ago, not having a guy like Nick that had the success, we feel that. Doesn't do any good to worry about it. We've just got to get it better. But that's kind of where we're at on November 4th.
Any other questions?
Anybody else? All righty. Thanks for coming. Thanks. See you later. Bye.